Hello friends, today we will take a look at the second season of our anime series Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Neue these. The Alliance 3rd, 5th, 8th, 9th, and 13th fleets regroup in the Amritsar Star Zone to make a last stand facing against overwhelming odds. Defeat is almost certain for the Alliance. However, during the ensuing Battle of Amritsar, Fritz Joseph Bittenfeld, commander of the Black Lancers, in his haste to conclude the battle, overextends his fleet and leaves it vulnerable to Alliance counterattack. Seizing the opportunity, the 13th Fleet managed to severely damage the Black Lancers, rendering it too weak to hold the line in the subsequent Imperial encirclement of the Alliance fleets. In the end, the Alliance fleets managed to escape the encirclement and retreat in good order. Despite that, the expedition to invade the Galactic Empire is overall an unmitigated disaster for the Freed Planets Alliance, and the entire Alliance High Council resigns as a result to take responsibility for the defeat. However, Job Trunicht, by virtue of having voted against the expedition, is appointed as the interim head of the government. As for the military, Fleet Admiral Sidney Sidhole and LaSalle Lobos resign from their positions and are replaced respectively by Admirals Kubersley and Alexander Bucock. Admiral Dwight Greenhill and Rear Admiral Alex Kazern are both withdrawn from frontline positions, with the latter relegated to a frontier system. Commodore Andrew Falk is withdrawn from active service. Finally, Yang Wen-li is promoted to Admiral and is appointed as the commander of Iserlohn Fortress. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Empire, Kaiser Friedrich IV passes away suddenly. Kaiser Friedrich IV of the Galactic Empire passes away suddenly without naming a successor. In order to prevent either Duke Otho von Braunschweig or Marquis Wilhelm von Littenheim, sons-in-law of the late Friedrich IV, from dominating imperial politics by installing their respective daughters to the throne, Minister of State Klaus von Lichtenlade decides to crown the 5-year-old Erwin Joseph II, son of the late Crown Prince Ludwig, instead. To buttress the position of the new Kaiser, Lichtenlade seeks the support of Reinhard von Lohengrin. Reinhard agrees to the political alliance and becomes the new commander of the Space Fleet and is also elevated to the rank of Marquis. The aforementioned high nobles are predictably outraged by this state of affairs and prepare to retaliate. Reinhard devises a plan to prevent the Free Planets Alliance from interfering with his upcoming struggle with the high nobles. The Alliance government accepts the offer without much consideration, and the exchange ceremony is promptly held in Iserlohn Fortress, with Siegfried Curtius leading the imperial delegation. After the exchange, Yang returns to Hainesen to attend the returning ceremony for the freed Alliance prisoners. During his brief stay in the Alliance capital, he confides with Alexander Bucock about his suspicions of Reinhard von Lohengrin making use of the prisoner of war exchange to plant agents provocateurs to sow unrest within the Alliance, so as to prevent it from interfering with his upcoming struggle against the high nobles. Yang then asks Bucock for a favor. Duke Otho von Braunschweig and Marquis Wilhelm von Littenheim team up oppose the new order led by Marquis Reinhard von Lohengrin, and Duke Klaus von Lichtenlade. Count Franz von Mariendorf wants to join the conspiracy if neutrality becomes untenable, but his daughter, Hildegard, convinces him to side with Reinhard's rising order instead. She goes to Reinhard and offers her family's allegiance. The High Nobles create the Lipstadt League, led by Braunschweig and Littenheim. High Admiral Willibald Joachim von Merkatz is pressured by Braunschweig to command their military forces. A botched kidnapping of Countess Anne-Rose von Grunewald by Anton Fellner kickstarts the hostilities, and Reinhard seizes the momentum to occupy key facilities in Odin and manages to arrest many conspirators, but Braunschweig, among others, flee and regroup their forces in the Geiersberg fortress. In the Free Planets Alliance capital planet Hainesen, Andrew Falk is discharged from the hospital. Hoping to be reinstated to active duty, Falk approaches Joint Operations Headquarters Chief Kubersley to make a direct request. After Kubersley reproves him for trying to bypass proper channels, Falk shoots him in anger, critically injuring him. This incident ignites the chain of events that occur right afterwards. First, an explosion, presumed to be an accident, occurs at the maintenance center of the Hainesen Air Defense Base. Next, a series of armed revolts break out in the planets Neptus, Kaffir Palmland, and Shampool. Finally, on April 13th, led by Admiral Dwight Greenhill, styles themselves as the National Salvation Military Council and suspends the democratic institutions of the Alliance. High Council Chairman Job Trunicht goes into hiding. Yang Wen-li decides to fight for democracy. April to suppress the coup d'etat while the NSMC-aligned 11th Fleet goes out to stop it. The Lipstadt League plans to draw Reinhard von Lohengrin to Geiersberg Fortress in order to defeat him in a decisive battle. In addition to this plan, Admiral Staden proposes to lead a fleet and secure Odin while Reinhard's forces are out in space. Wolfgang Mittermeier is sent to intercept Staden and crushes his fleet in the Battle of Altena, forcing him to withdraw to Rentenburg Fortress. Reinhard decides to take the fortress, but the boarding parties are repelled by the garrison. Led by Mittermeier and Oskar von Reuenthal succeeds, and Avlasser is taken prisoner. Reinhard wants to execute him, but Paul von Oberstein advises to send him back to Geiersberg. Instead, Avlasser is released, but is executed by Otho von Braunschweig, who thinks he was freed because he turned against him. Fear of treason spreads within the Lipstadt League. Walter von Schankopf takes control of Shampul, the first of the rebel-controlled planets, on behalf of the Yang fleet. The National Salvation Military Council sends Commander Bagdash to Yang Wen-li to pose as a deserter to the coup in order to assassinate him, but Schankopf manages to keep him away out of action. The Yang fleet engages the 11th Fleet in the Doria Star Zone. The 11th Fleet is taken by surprise and is soon completely surrounded. Yang's repeated proposals of surrender are ignored by the 11th Fleet until it is practically annihilated. After the battle, Bagdash decides to join Yang because his victory is certain. Meanwhile, in Hainissen, a peaceful gathering against the coup is held in a stadium. When the army tries to disperse it, it turns into a riot, and thousands are killed, including Jessica Edwards. After suppressing the remainder of the rebel star zones, the Yang fleet proceeds towards Hainissen. Marquis Wilhelm von Littenheim departs Geiersberg Fortress with a fleet of 50,000 ships to seek out and engage with Siegfried Curtius, who has been pacifying the frontier star zones under the name of Reinhard von Lohengrin. Contact is made in the Kyffhauser star zone, and Curtius swiftly throws the Littenheim fleet into complete disarray with a small detachment of 800 ships by exploiting the gaps in its formation. In his attempt to escape, Littenheim gives an order to open fire on allies who are in his way. After he reaches Garmisch Fortress, he is killed by his men, enraged by his dishonorable action. Meanwhile, Reinhard leads his fleets to contest for the star zones around Geiersberg Fortress. In one particular engagement, Oskar von Reuenthal, unwilling to fight a battle of attrition against the Lipstadt forces led by Willibald Joachim von Merkatz, makes a tactical withdrawal in order to prevent Merkatz from leading the Lipstadt forces effectively. Reinhard broadcasts an insulting message to Geiersberg Fortress, provoking Duke Otho von Braunschweig to launch with the bulk of the Lipstadt forces, which is then promptly ambushed by Reinhard's waiting fleets. It is only saved from complete destruction with a timely intervention by Merkatz. Soon afterwards, news breaks out that an uprising has taken place in Westerland, one of Braunschweig's territories, and one of his nephews is killed in the process. Thoroughly enraged, Braunschweig orders to kill all the inhabitants of Westerland via a nuclear strike. After Yang Wen-li's victory in the Battle of Doria, the National Salvation Military Council rapidly loses its control over territories outside Hainissen and is holed up in the capital planet, well protected by the Artemis necklace. Yang decides to use propaganda and asks Bagdash to publicly admit that the Galactic Empire is behind the coup. Bagdash's speech is widely broadcasted throughout Hainissen. The leaders of the coup are astonished, but Arthur Lynch, the agent provocateur, reveals that Yang's accusations are true and admits having received orders from Reinhard von Lohengrin. Meanwhile, Yang destroys the Artemis necklace by ramming its elements with huge chunks of ice in near light speed, driven to despair. The leaders of the National Salvation Military Council decide to surrender, though not before destroying all evidence of the Empire's involvement. Admiral Dwight Greenhill and Lynch are killed in the ensuing gunfight. Democracy is restored. Job Trunicht, hidden by members of the Terrius Church, comes back to power. Elsewhere in Fezzan, Boris Konyev is recruited by Adrian Rubinsky to serve as an intelligence officer for the Fezzani government in the Free Planets Alliance. Siegfried Curtius rejoins Reinhard von Lohengrin and has an argument with him over his inaction with regards to the Westerland massacre. The Lipstadt League, isolated after the resulting backlash from the Westerland massacre, launches all of its remaining ships from Geiersberg Fortress in a final act of desperation. Although their relationship has become strained as a result of their argument, Reinhard still entrusts Curtius to lead the vanguard against the Lipstadt forces. The Lipstadt forces are swiftly defeated. Baron Flegel is killed by his men when he wants to make a suicide attack. Willibald Joachim von Merkatz, too proud to surrender, decides to commit suicide, but his adjutant Bernhard von Schneider advises him to seek asylum in the Free Planets Alliance instead. Duke Otho von Braunschweig is forced to commit suicide by Ansbach, his chief retainer, who promises to avenge him in the end. Geiersberg falls to Reinhardt's forces, marking the end of the Lippstadt League. A victory celebration is held in Geiersberg Fortress, during which Reinhard von Lohengrin receives prisoners of war from the Lippstadt League. Adalbert von Fahrenheit is released and joins the ranks of Reinhardt's admirals. Ansbach comes in with Otho von Braunschweig's coffin, takes out a weapon concealed in the coffin, and tries to shoot Reinhard with it. A timely intervention by Siegfried Curtius causes him to miss. However, in the ensuing melee, Ansbach manages to kill Curtius and then commits suicide. Reinhard is devastated by his friend's death and is unable to make any decisions for an extended period of time. Meanwhile, Paul von Oberstein suggests to the rest of Reinhardt's admirals to seize this opportunity to get rid of Prime Minister Klaus von Lichtenlade and assert Reinhardt's supremacy once and for all. The admirals rush back to Odin and arrest Lichtenlade for allegedly masterminding an attempted assassination of Reinhard, as well as securing the imperial seal to establish Reinhardt's authority. Reinhard finally recovers and speaks to Anne-Rose von Grunewald, who decides to retire to a residence of her own choice, causing him to feel left alone. He then instructs Oscar von Reuenthal to induce Lichtenlade to commit suicide and to harshly treat the latter's family before returning back to Odin. In the Free Planet's Alliance capital planet, Hanussen Yang Li attends a ceremony to commemorate the suppression of the coup d'état, during which he is obliged to make a public display of unity with the restored Alliance government led by Job Trunicht. After the ceremony, Yang is informed about Willibald Joachim von Merkatz seeking asylum in the Alliance. Yang decides to endorse for Merkatz, and the Alliance government approves his stay. Merkatz is assigned as an advisor to the commander of Iserlohn Fortress in the capacity of a guest admiral. Soon afterwards, a group of Alliance politicians holds a private meeting in Trunicht's residence, where they express their dismay over the rising popularity of Yang. Meanwhile, Yang visits the graves of Jean Robert Lapp and Jessica Edwards. Elsewhere, in the Galactic Empire capital planet Odin, Reinhard von Lohengrin is elevated to the rank of Duke and is appointed as Prime Minister while serving concurrently as the Supreme Commander of the Imperial Forces, effectively becoming the de facto ruler of the Empire. Siegfried Curtius is posthumously promoted to the rank of Fleet Admiral and is given a series of high-ranking positions. After his promotion, Reinhard visits Curtius's grave. Finally, in Terra, the Grand Bishop of the Terrius Church declares that the age-old Terrius plot to restore Terra as the center of human civilization is nearing fruition. And our second season ends here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.